Many people believe that the reconsideration appeal in your Social Security disability claim is a waste of time. After all, only about 10% of denied claims are approved at reconsideration. But is reconsideration really that much of a waste of time? And is there a way you can use it to get your approval more quickly? Because after all, if you have to go to a hearing, that could delay your case another 2 years, 3 years. So getting reconsideration can really speed up the process. Hi, I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney, and I work on cases throughout the country. And what I'd like to do today is talk to you about the reconsideration appeal and some steps you can take, some very specific things that you can do to increase your chances at winning at the reconsideration level. And to be truthful, the approval rate's only about 10%, so it's not very likely you're going to win, but I have won cases at reconsideration, and like I said before, if you win at recon, then you can save yourself 2 to 3 years of stress and anxiousness and no money while you wait for your hearing. So here's my list of things that you can do to improve your chances at getting your case approved at reconsideration. First of all, you want to make sure that all medical records that you have that relate to your condition are in your file. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked at an initial denial, and when you get your initial denial, it's going to list the doctors that were used, that were considered when making that denial, to see that one or more important doctors were not included. In other words, Social Security requested medical records from a doctor. The doctor either did not respond, or more likely, the request went to a bad address, and those records were simply not considered. Or the records that were considered were old. They were not current and did not reflect your current medical condition, or did not reflect the doctor's opinion about your medical issues in terms of your work capacity. So it's really important to look at the denial notice and make sure that everything is included. And if it's not included, if there's new medical, or if there's medical from an existing doctor that was not properly considered, make sure to include that in your reconsideration paperwork. That will go a long way to helping you get approved. And I would tell you as well, make sure that you have good addresses. And one of the things that, again, that I see is people will list a doctor's office. They may put a billing address. They may put an old address. Spend the time, go online, and look up the doctor's address. Make sure you have a current address, phone number, and fax number. That may mean getting on the phone and calling to verify that, because, again, what Social Security does is they send out form letters to all the doctors, and if there's not a good address, guess what? The doctor will not get the request, will not respond to it, and those records will not be considered. You should also let your doctor know you're applying for disability so that they will respond to those records. And some doctors are just not very cooperative, mainly because they don't get paid a lot of money to respond to those records. But if you let your doctor's office know how important it is, it greatly increases the chance that they're going to go ahead and respond to that appropriately. Make sure that when you file your reconsideration appeal, number 2, that you get the right forms. And the forms are Form 561, which is the actual reconsideration appeal form, the disability report, which is Form SSA 3441, and you want to download a Form 827, which is a medical release. And these forms are available online. If you can do them online, that's going to speed up the process, but if you can't, you can print them out. And make sure that you fill out these forms completely, that you sign them, and that you send them in registered mail, return receipt requested. Don't rely on the regular mail. And fill out the forms as best you can. You can add paper to it. You can add extra pages to it. So even if the form only gives you 3 lines to write things, you can use as much extra paper as you possibly want to add in additional information. I would also tell you that even though the form says, tell us about anything new, talk about everything, because no one's going to sit there with your old initial application and compare it to your reconsideration form and say, well, this is what's new. List everything as if it's a new application. Make sure you include all your medical conditions. Don't just put new stuff on there, because, again, no one's going to read the old stuff, so you need to give them as much information as you possibly can. Before you start working on it, this is number 3, before you start working on your reconsideration appeal, make a list of your medical conditions, starting with the one that has the most impact on your capacity to work. Remember, disability is about work capacity. So if you have 5 medical conditions, but one of them has the most impact on your capacity to work, for example, a back problem, that would be what I would start with. You may be diabetic and you may have GERD, where you have trouble with indigestion and so forth, but those things may not impact your capacity for work, whereas the back problem does. Don't start with the diabetes if it's under control. Start with the thing that is most significant to your work capacity. Number 4, use the online forms where you can type things. Handwritten forms, which is typically what you do when you download them, they just aren't as readable. And I will tell you, after reading lots and lots of files, when I get to a handwritten form, it's very difficult to read. They're going to be scanned in. If you use blue ink or not a real dark ink, it can be almost impossible to read. And guess what? Disability adjudicators are not going to struggle trying to figure out what you've written. Your handwriting may be unusual, may be difficult to read. Much better to type it using the online forms. So if at all possible, use the online forms and type it. If you add extra pages, type that as well. If you have to pay somebody to type it, do that. Much better than handwritten forms. I have no data to suggest that online forms are ignored, but I can tell you from practical experience, having read a lot of handwritten forms, that if you can't read it, you tend to move on to the next thing. So avoid handwritten forms. I would assert very, very specific limitations. In other words, when they ask you what are the things that impact what you can and cannot do, talk about both physical and non-physical limitations, but be very specific. And I've talked about this before. Avoid things like I can't walk very far, I can't lift very much. I can lift 10 pounds occasionally, 15 pounds very, very rarely. I've been advised by my doctor not to lift more than 5 pounds more than 2 or 3 times a day. I can sit for 20 minutes, then I have to stand up and walk around for 5 to 7 minutes. That's how specific you want to be. The more specific you can be, the better. When you talk about what they call non-exertional limitations, or things that are not physical, your pain, my pain on a scale of 10 is at an 8, at least 3 or 4 hours a day. It's always at a 5 or 6. That's how specific you want to be. So you really want to go into detail about how your medical conditions impact what you do. Next thing is, don't forget medication side effects or issues related to things like going to the bathroom a lot, because those are work limitations. So if your medication makes you drowsy, it makes you have to urinate frequently like a lot of water pills might do, if it makes it hard to focus and concentrate, or makes it difficult to speak, those are all limitations that impact your vocational, your work capacity. So make sure to include them. And the bathroom issue, I will tell you, I win a lot of cases on bathroom breaks, because if you have to take 3 or 4 bathroom breaks every 2 hours, for example, those are unscheduled breaks that employers are not going to put up with. So if you have a condition or medications that cause you to have to go to the bathroom frequently, once an hour, every 90 minutes, make sure to include that and put a focus on that. That is an important thing that an adjudicator, when they take it to their medical consultant, that may be something that could be enough to help win your case. You can also use reconsideration to obtain medical opinions about your work capacity. So if you have a functional capacity form, for example, have your doctor fill it out, submit that to the adjudicator, because again, that is the language Social Security speaks, work limitations. So don't hesitate to include those functional capacity evaluations when you file your reconsideration paperwork. So again, I would look at this as almost like a new application, include everything, even if it's repeating itself from your initial application. Assume somebody different is going to be reading it, because it very well may be, and make your strongest possible case. Get your doctors to talk about work limitations. That is the main issue in a disability case. And like I said, the final thing is, make sure that you mail this in on time. If you do it online, do it on time, do it early, don't wait until the last day. And if you mail it, send it, like I said, registered mail, return receipt requested. If you do those things, there's no guarantee you're going to win, but you improve your chances, because you're speaking Social Security's language, you're giving them something that's easy to read and process, and you're doing it on time. Don't be the person who submits everything at the last minute and you miss the deadline by one day, and then you end up with a problem having to start over again, or the case is simply marked denied because the adjudicator can't read it. So if you do those things, again, I think you really improve your chances at getting approved at reconsideration, although again, still it's not a great shot, but it's better than not having any shot at all. So hope you found this useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, and also, if you've not already done so, please download my free Secrets to Winning Your Disability Case Survival Kit, which you can get by clicking on the link, which I've got here on this video. If you have any questions for me personally, please reach out to me. Happy to try to answer those in a video or in a phone call. And until next time, this is Jonathan Ginsberg wishing you the best. Thank you. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the survival kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include: how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know: how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.